Okay, the intention of this lecture is to help those people who could not attend interactive lecture that recently I completed during a webinar series. The topic of this presentation here is barriers in research, and as I said, the basic aim is to make it an interactive lecture. But right now I'm just recording it for the sake of understanding and those who miss the live interaction. At the outset, barriers in the research. Okay, let us start with that. Research is one of the fundamental pillars of the development. We know that it is one of the indicators of the growth. Barriers do come, and they can be grossly classified as personal barriers and organizational barrier. In short, you can remember BPO, that is barriers equal to personal and organizational. Personal means pertaining to individual, that can be you or otherwise the people working with you, and organization I mean more of administrative otherwise logistic. So here the simple message is BPO, that is barriers can be personal and organizational. We'll see how to summarize all this at the end of this presentation, but right now for the sake of opening, the barriers are only two: personal and organizational. Okay, to begin with, in a funny way, I call it as gems of the presentation. A jealous woman does the better research than a BI. And nowadays there's something called gender equality, so probably we should change that word woman into person. So we know that people are equally jealous. It doesn't make a difference whether a woman or man, and they can do the better research. Okay, here's the first situation that I have put up. Student S is doing academic research and repeatedly she feels like changing her topic. What she should do? Now, some of you might think that change as many times, change it few times, do not change any other. Okay, all the options are fine, but then just try and understand that before you start up your research, you got to look into all possible ways so that you don't have to change the topic as many times. You can look into all minute details and then finalize your research topic. But just imagine that you're enrolled for your academic degree, and that's why you're doing the research. You get a research advisory committee meeting and they suggest some changes, and then in that case sometimes you're helpless, so you need to change. But then remember that you can't just keep on changing, because in most of the universities it just happens that once you are registered with the topic, then your time starts, and if you change the topic once again, your time is recalculated. So in short, if you keep on changing, your time is going to get increased for such kind of research degrees. So it's better that you actually work on your research topic and try to minimize little less number of times, and if possible try to even avoid also. But see to it that technically it is correct before you finalize. They say that you should have 5 parts, but optimum is 2 parts, that is OD. I call it as objective and design. Your title and the topic should have 2 parts, such as objective as well as design. Some people are bothered about even the place, the participant, the time duration, and so on and so forth. That's how they say a 5 parts title. But then optimum expectation all over the world as on today is just 2 parts of your title of the study once you finalize. That's OD, objective and design of your research. Okay, let's move on to the next situation. A student S is doing academic. Now what she should do? Okay, do nothing, that's the first option. Minimize the sleep time, because that is what we feel that if I reduce my sleep time, then I might get a little more time to work. Stay at the research place only. In a funniest way, I always say जीना यहाँ, मरना यहाँ, research करना यहाँ, खाना यहाँ, पीना यहाँ. So in short, like all the time you are at the workplace where you are doing the research, and the last one is any other option. Understand that just keeping quiet is also not a best option. Minimizing the sleep time is going to actually increase your stress, because your body requires at least say 8 hours of the sleep. So if you divide 24 hours, then 8 hours of your work time, 8 hours of your sleep, 8 hours for some other activities, and so on and so forth. And if you reduce the sleep time, that's not a good idea or a healthy idea. Now staying at the research place, it's okay, but then as a human being you have limitation, and most of the time it's been calculated that weekly probably you can work from 40 to 50 hours only, not more than that. Now look at that last option, any author. Okay, I take this as an opportunity to recall a book written by Stephen Covey that's called Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. There he's mentioned about something called time management. So what you got to do is he's explained nicely that almost all the activities we can put up into four quadrant based on the two criteria, whether urgent or not urgent, and second is important and not important. So what he says is quadrant 2, that is important but not urgent, is one of the best way to tackle most of the things including your research work. That means what you're doing is important but not urgent, but if you just don't do that there, then slowly it becomes important as well as urgent. So all the deadline projects are like important as well as urgent. Now sometimes you might wonder what is that not important but urgent. Just imagine someone rings the bell, say doorbell, and you find that someone who has just come from selling or otherwise marketing purpose. You actually didn't want that, but then because bell is ringing, you need to go and attend. Say a child is crying, once again it becomes urgent thing. So try and understand that, and sometimes you can have activities like not important, not urgent, say cleaning your room, cleaning your workplace, uh, working on your philosophy, reading the novel and things like that. So what am I trying to say is one of the best option here, if you feel that you have lack of time, is you can plan your time. My personal secret is when I had been doing say academic research, what I had done was very simple thing. Every day I knew that I had to give 1 hour for this, say research work, writing and so on and so forth. So now what happens is, if religiously you are giving say a kind of allotted time on a regular basis, then the work doesn't pile up. But most of the time what we do is we just keep quiet, and then all of a sudden we start overworking. Okay, it doesn't make a difference whatever it suits for you, but as long as this issue doesn't come, it's fine whatever you're doing it. But if you think that you have lack of time, then the best way is look at the time management. Okay, here's another gem of the presentation. Medical student, sir, how does painkiller knows where the pain is in the body? A teacher says, see, painkillers are like women, they know everything. Okay, forgive me, I'm not once again biased towards women gender, just for the fun, so that you get a change in the presentation. Loss of motivation, otherwise I call second year blue. Student S is doing academic research, and nowadays she feels low and feels like has lost her motivation to pursue the research. Now this quite commonly happens, that you register yourself for research degrees such as PhD, and after 1 year slowly you start losing your motivation. So now with this situation, what are the possible responses? Accept the situation, reward herself, ask for the help, family, friends and counselor, any other specify. Now look at it. Okay, accepting the situation is fine, but then that's not helping you, because you're feeling that second year blue, otherwise you're feeling low. Now rewarding yourself is one of the best thing. Like whatever you do, you can just reward yourself, and maybe with a better food, maybe going for a movie, otherwise anything which makes you happy. So you got to reward yourself for any small achievement what you do. Now this is an interesting and important option C, that is ask for the help. You can talk to your family, you can talk to your friend, you can talk to a counselor, if required even the psychologist or the psychiatrist. But remember that this is the magic option, that is talk to the people. Remember, talk to the people and talk to the people. So the moment you feel that you're losing your motivation, you got to talk to the people. So maybe other people who are just like you, who are pursuing their research career, they are one of the best option. Maybe your friends also, maybe family members also. You can, if you don't want to talk face to face, you can just call up and say, look, I'm feeling a little low, I'm losing my motivation, I don't know what am I supposed to do, and so on and so forth. And I still remember one of my friend, when I used to go through this kind of situation, he used to say, क्या डॉक्टर साहब पूरा हाथ ही निकल गया, अब पूछ के लिए आप लेके बैठे. That means he used to keep on motivating me that okay, major time has passed, and then now why are you bothered about, it's just a matter of time, that's it. Now any other specify, this is an interesting option if you feel. So you can work on stress management. You can do some breathing exercises, you can do relaxation, you can do some imagery. One of the reported imagery is called white paper exercise. You can simply hold the paper, white paper in your hand, and imagine that you're working on your research article, you completed that, you completed writing, and so on and so forth. So that kind of imagery sometimes even helps you. So doesn't make a difference, but just look at the stress management also, relaxation techniques also, and in addition to that, do not forget to ask for the help. So the magic word here is talk to the people. Okay, here's another funny situation. I call it as James of the presentation. If I knew what I was doing, I wouldn't call it as a research. Sometimes it's right. Okay, now this is an interesting situation. Who is real expert? Student S is doing academic research under Professor P. Every single time he tells that he is the expert and not C. But at a times he thinks C is working more in this field. So the question is, who is real expert? Okay, option A is Professor P, option B is student S, option C, both of them, option D, any other specify. When I interacted with a lot of people, everyone thought that one of the best options to say that the real expert is Professor P because he's like a god. They say guide is god. They say because you are going to be awarded your PhD with the professors kind of recommendation and so on and so forth. So most of the orthodox people think that the expert person is a professor, but look at the situation. The student thinks that day and night I'm working on a topic, and now the question is, am I the expert, otherwise professor? Okay, even this way of thinking is not too wrong. Now, okay, some of the people with whom I interacted, they thought that, okay, call both of them as an expert and make both of them happy. But then, it comes like a situation of ego. The professor thinks that always he's right. And I just remember just Palbatti serial, that was one of the funny, otherwise comedy show. And in one of the episode, he showed himself as a PhD scholar, and he was like, uh, जो तुमको हो पसंद वही बात करेंगे. दैट मीन्स वॉट एवर द गाइड लाइक्स आई वुड से तुम दिन को अगर रात कहो तो रात कहेंगे. दैट मीन्स वॉट एवर यू से, even if you say that the night is day and day is night also, I would just follow my professor or the guide. That was the funny part of Jaspal Bhatti. It reminds me very nicely. But look at any other option specify. I had actually looked into the technical details of published research in this area, and I found that what the technical details in terms of the evidence is when you begin your research, no doubt the professor or the supervisor is an expert, but as the time passes, student slowly becomes an expert, and by the time you complete your PhD research and you get awarded, you are called as the real expert into that field. Because try and understand, you had been focused and day and night working into that field. So to begin with, the professor is expert, and as the time passes, the student becomes expert. You may not agree to this, but this is the fact. Now, overworking. Student S is doing academic research and she feels like overloaded and exploited with additional academic works like teaching, evaluation, and so on and so forth. Now, what she should do? Okay, option A is accept the work, option B is say no, option C is ask others to help, and option D is any other specify. Now, some of the participants, when I had been speaking about this topic, they thought that okay, the best option is accept the work. Whatever the guide says, fine. Guide is God. Whatever the work you are assigned, keep on doing. Some of the people thought that it's better to say no. The option C was ask others to help, so you start substituting other people. Once again, that's not right. Option D, any other specify. Okay, some of them had some kind of opinions. Probably I forgot exactly what were the major kind of comments there. But then remember that at the end of the day, you got to learn to say no, because it just happens that you're working and you're overworking and you're bombarded with the work. Sometimes it just happens that in addition to academics, some even personal work is put upon to your head, and just because you're sincere, you're doing it, you keep on getting more and more work. So the time comes, you got to learn to say no, maybe in a diplomatic way, but remember that the magic word here is learn to say no. No. Lack of admin support. Sometimes this is one of the barrier. Student S is doing research and feels she's not getting enough administrative support pertaining to her research, what C should do. Accept the situation, it's okay. Effective communication, complain, any other specify. Now you know that most of the time we feel that okay, accept it, it's part of the game. Sometimes we feel that one of the best option is complain also. uh, but then remember that never criticize, complain and condemn, because that never helps you in long term. So one of the best option is effective communication. Okay, here's a change. Researchers have just found the gene for shyness. They would have found it earlier, but it was hiding behind two other genes because shy gene. No. Okay, that is a funny part in the presentation. Okay, calling it a day. Now, student S is doing academic research and now she feels that it's time to live in between without completing. What she should do? Do not leave it, talk to the people, any other specify. Now, most of the people thought that it's better option not to leave. Some of them they thought that okay, you can leave, you can just say enough is enough, I'm not going to continue, and you can simply leave your say research degree like PhD. Uh, some of the people thought that one of the best options, talk to the people around you. Now, personally, what I feel is like, when I had actually look into the technical details about published research about this barrier, one should work on all possible options. That is, talk to the people and find out how best they can help, including even talking to your supervisor. Then okay, the first option has to be never think about leaving, because you got to ask yourself question like, why did you join to begin with? If you had to leave, then that wasn't your intention, otherwise goal for joining such kind of research degree. So ask yourself, why did you join at the first? Talk to the people how best they can help, and then if you feel that enough is enough, I'm not going to cope up with this, it's actually adding say physical mental stress, and it's like somewhere affecting your health, and then you can even think about making such a decision, that is, you can just call it a day. The research says that some of the people who had given up even research degrees in between, they have done quite well in their life. Probably they earn a lot of money and even reputation also. So all the time degree doesn't matter, but if you feel that it's affecting your physical and mental health, and then sometimes even you can make that kind of decision. Supervisors don't agree. Now look at this situation. Student S is doing academic research and she often feels that her two supervisors just don't like each other. So clashes in academic disagreement and she gets caught in middle. What she should do? Okay, option A, force them to like each other. That's a funny option. Accept that they are like that only. Meet them separately. Any other specify. Remember that most of the time you don't get two supervisors, you just get one supervisor. But in case you're working on say kind of research which is interdisciplinary research, then probably you get even supervisor and co-supervisor. It's a bit natural, sometimes we have spoiled interpersonal relations, and that sometimes affects even others also. Of course we don't realize that, but then just look at it. If your supervisor and co-supervisor, or those two supervisors, they are not agreeing, then one of the best options is you should meet them separately and avoid meeting them together. And then avoid complaining about that another supervisor said like this and so on so forth. But one of the best part is like just listen to them carefully and try to pick up whatever the best thing you can actually pick up a kind of suggestion so as to improve the quality of your research. Now after this I'm going to wind up as a first part because I have technical limitations to put up this video. So lack of equipments or facilities. Student S is doing academic research. She thinks that she doesn't have adequate equipments or facilities to do her research. What she should do? Okay, stop her research, continue her research, wait for some time, any other. Okay, stopping the research is not an option. You should continue the research, but then without equipment or facility it becomes difficult. Now waiting is also a good option, but then the question is how long we can wait. So maybe we can apply for the funding, buy the equipment, otherwise you can hire some equipment on rental basis, otherwise you can try to get the permission from the research center where such kind of equipments and facilities are available. So as I told you, I'll wind up here as a part 1 of this presentation. and we'll continue it in part 2. Thank you.